I enjoy exploring. I love seeking new ideas so that I may challenge myself and grow as a person. This mindset is reflected in my approach to art as much as anything else, which is why I tend to strongly value games which offer unique or edifying experiences. That said, I do have preferences, as everyone does, and today I wanted to talk about those preferences, specifically my favorite game genres and why I love them so much. Just because I think it'll be fun. Let's get started. For the longest time, beat-em-ups had this unshakable perception as a mindless genre, a category of games where you just amble forth and mash attack listlessly. In reality, they're real-time puzzles, wherein one must swiftly read the screen, categorize potential threats, and enact a plan of action. The faster you can do this, the easier the genre is. There are many pieces to each puzzle. What enemy types are on screen? What are their moves? What plays could they make? What is my spacing relative to their own? Which attacks could counteract theirs? All of these factors change every second of play, meaning the player is constantly making micro-decisions. Having absolute control over these micro-decisions, integrating them seamlessly into your unconscious processes, is critical to success. Beat-em-ups are rewarding, like socializing is rewarding, like art analysis is rewarding, like life itself is rewarding. They're a complex ecosystem of interlocking elements, where each individual plays a part in the whole. Flow, expectation, emergent strategy, understanding, and dominance. It's all a beautiful ballet. All of this is more apparent in some beat-em-ups than others, of course. I much prefer older games in the genre for this reason. Newer titles too often lean deliberately into mindlessness. They refuse to allow the players their own chance at strategy, preempting them with loads of noisy, obtrusive tutorials. But regardless of the era, there's still no genre I can pick up and play easier than this one. 3D platformers are, on average, colorful, heavily idealistic, flamboyant, and vibrant. They're a vivacious, thrilling glimpse into beautiful worlds overcome with surreal wonder, and primarily they only ask you to explore, to familiarize yourself intimately with these lush landscapes, idiosyncratic inhabitants, and deluge of shiny, tiny collectibles. And even when 3D platformers aren't spinning cutesy fables about hopeful heroes, it's usually for good reason. Games like Madness Returns offer artful deconstructions of regular platforming tropes to great success. Another thing is that, well, 3D platformers are just really hard to design. Leaping around in 3D space is difficult, and unlike combat, it isn't as simple to make easier or harder through design. The whole point of a platformer is to integrate the level design into your environment. The challenge and interactivity is the world around you. To this end, 3D platformers take so many different approaches to level theming and gameplay structure. Is it better to focus strictly on a few platforming mechanics and allow the variety in locales to do the heavy lifting, or is it better to make a really fluid movement system so any level is already guaranteed to be fun? Or would you rather introduce a bevy of gimmicks to keep the pace fast and ensure there's no room for repetition? Or all of those, or none of those, or some combination thereof? It's all so exciting to see, and every developer puts a wildly different spin on the genre. I may not be as good at 3D platforming as I am at beat-em-upping, but my affection for both is immense. Third-person shooters are games where you control a dude who may or may not be of grizzled persuasion, and you shoot other dudes. My affection for this genre is similar to beat-em-ups. It's about making and countering plays, reading the battlefield, deconstructing and exploiting enemy psychology, all that good stuff. But particularly, I love cover-based third-person shooters. Cover systems are fairly controversial, and they're much less pronounced now than they once were, but I think their introduction fundamentally changed how the genre played in exciting ways. Choke points, gaining ground, suppressive fire, flanking, turtling, everything became easier to visualize and interact with. It was less about fast-paced blasting and more about the flow of tension. risk and reward distilled into miniature war zones. Taking apart the environment piece by piece to analyze it, I adore that stuff, especially if my reward for analysis is that I don't die. It's good stuff. Driving games are all about your place in the whole, about navigating your way at light speed through a bigger picture, all while minimizing damage to yourself and your surroundings in pursuit of a critical goal. It is fine, surgical gameplay which demands a degree of obsessive perfectionism. You have to find the best line, you have to push your limits, you have to be willing to spend hours and hours honing your movement until you finally pass that darned mission. Perfectly melding oneself to the car, achieving harmony, is practically a necessity. Shed your human flesh, become the vehicle. There's always that serene moment when you stop fighting the handling, stop fighting the road, and just flow. Even aside that, I would personally consider games like Driver and Stuntman to be nearly perfect, for their ironclad focus on exploring the physics and driving mechanics to their absolute limit. They have no mercy, they just demand your absolute best, and could never accept less. JRPGs, short for Japanese RPGs, are a subgenre which may or may not need introduction. They're primarily focused on adapting the spiritual essence of tabletop games, that being their flow, storytelling, and atmosphere, into video game format. They're not focused on replicating tabletop RPGs mechanically, but instead highlight the emotive appeal. The adventure, the band of misfit characters, the wide open world map, the opportunity to explore everything within your sight, the inns, the thousands of NPCs, the variants and cultures, the gorgeous vistas, the drama. It all fills me with awe. JRPGs are about hope, change, growth, discovery, and they're shameless in that. They're goofy, idealistic, cheesy, and unfettered in their unique beauty. They are the essence of fantasy adventure, and I adore them. Action RPGs are cool because they have things I really like. They have adventure, they have inventory management, resource management, a mixture of skillful foreplanning and immediate action. But they're generally too steeped in looting mentality for my tastes. Don't get me wrong, I love comparing gear, measuring stats, building builds, but there's this unpleasant gremlin instinct it comes with, where I have to obsessively pick up every single shiny thing. And I don't like that. They're fun, though. Hey, you made it. We're at the end of the video. I don't really know how to wrap up a video where I detail my love for different game genres and elucidate the rationale behind that love, but I do know that several lovely people are supporting me on Patreon, and I will list those people for you right now. My lovely supporters are iPompous, Anonymous, Jay, Marth Sinclair, The Roses, Sam Anderson, Some Call Me Anto, Wapoza, Mint Horse, Mike Hansen, Kay Storkson, Zuzu, Igor Oliveira, Hawthorne Bunny, and Folly Boyo. Thank you all so much for your time and thoughts, and I'll talk to you in the next video.